On the morning of June 14, 2025, Minnesota awoke to a tragedy that would send shockwaves far beyond its borders. What began as an ordinary day in the quiet suburbs quickly turned into a scene of chaos and heartbreak as a calculated act of political violence shattered the peace of two close-knit communities. In the early hours, as families prepared for their day, the neighborhoods of Brooklynpark and Champlin became the epicenter of a coordinated and ruthless attack. Two prominent political families, known for their service and dedication to the state, were specifically targeted in what authorities now describe as a meticulously planned assault. Law enforcement officials, joined by federal agents, quickly mobilized, calling the incident a politically motivated assassination. The scale of the response was unprecedented, with the largest manhunt in recent Minnesota history launched within hours. The gravity of the situation drew national attention, as investigators worked tirelessly to piece together the events of that fateful morning. The suspect, identified as vancelutherboelter, allegedly disguised himself as a police officer, using the trust and authority of the uniform to gain access to the victims' homes. This chilling tactic allowed him to bypass security and catch his targets off guard, amplifying the sense of betrayal and fear within the community. The attack left State Representative MelissaHortman and her husband Mark dead at the scene. State Senator Johnhoffman and his wife Yvette were gravely wounded, rushed to the hospital as first responders fought to save their lives. The violence was swift and merciless, leaving families and colleagues reeling from the loss and uncertainty. The brutality of the crime has left the community in shock and disbelief. Neighbors who once felt safe now grapple with fear and sorrow, struggling to comprehend how such hatred could erupt in their midst. The sense of security that defined these neighborhoods has been shattered, replaced by grief and unanswered questions. After a violent confrontation with police, Boelter managed to escape, vanishing into the surrounding area. His flight triggered a massive multi-agency search with SWAT teams and local law enforcement combing the neighborhoods. Residents were ordered to shelter in place, their lives upended as the manhunt stretched into the day. Governor Timwalz addressed the shaken state, calling the attack a direct assault on democracy itself. He spoke of the dangers faced by public servants and the urgent need to protect those who dedicate their lives to serving the people. His words echoed the fear and anger felt by Minnesotans everywhere. As Minnesota mourns, the state is left searching for answers, grappling with how such violence could erupt in their own backyard. The tragedy has sparked a broader conversation about the safety of public officials and the future of political discourse in America. For now, the community gathers to grieve, honor the victims, and hope for healing in the days to come. The victims were more than political figures. Each one was a neighbor, a friend, and a guiding light for those around them. Their lives were woven into the fabric of Minnesota's communities, shaping the places they called home in ways both big and small. They were pillars of their communities, the kind of people who showed up when it mattered most, whether it was organizing food drives, mentoring young people, or simply lending a listening ear to someone in need. MelissaHortman, Speaker Emerita of the Minnesota House, was known for her unwavering leadership and tireless dedication to public service. She championed causes that mattered deeply to her constituents, always striving to make government more responsive and compassionate. Her husband, Mark, was a steadfast partner by her side. He was remembered for his warmth, generosity, and the countless hours he spent volunteering, always putting others before himself and inspiring those around him to do the same. Their tragic deaths have left a void that will not soon be filled, a silence in the halls of government and in the hearts of all who knew them. Senator Johnhoffman, a tireless advocate for education and disability rights, dedicated his career to lifting up those whose voices were too often ignored. His work touched countless lives, from students in the classroom to families fighting for equal opportunities. Alongside him was his wife Yvette, a devoted partner and mother. Together, they faced unimaginable danger when they were targeted in the attack. Both survived after undergoing emergency surgery, thanks to the swift response of medical teams and the outpouring of support from their community. Yvette's courage in shielding their daughter during the attack was nothing short of heroic, a testament to the strength and love that defines so many Minnesota families. The attack on these families was not just a personal tragedy, it was an assault on the very principles of democracy, public service, and the sense of safety that binds our communities together. Yet, amid the heartbreak, their survival offers a glimmer of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, resilience and unity can shine through. Still, the horror of what they endured lingers, casting a long shadow over their families and the broader community. The pain is raw, and the path to healing will be long. The loss and trauma have devastated not just their loved ones, but the entire state of Minnesota, leaving many to grapple with grief and uncertainty. Today, Minnesota mourns the loss of dedicated leaders and the assault on its democratic institutions, but it also stands together, committed to honoring their legacy and rebuilding the trust and hope that these public servants worked so hard to create. The suspect, vancelutherboelter, is a 57-year-old white male, considered armed and extremely dangerous. Once an advisor on state workforce councils, Boelter's past reveals unsettling ties to the government he now stands accused of attacking. His familiarity with state politics makes the attack even more chilling. Investigators are searching his background for clues to his motives, focusing on personal grievances and online activity. The question remains, what drove him to such violence? Boelter's previous government roles add complexity to the investigation and raise questions about missed warning signs. Now a fugitive, he has become the face of Minnesota's fears about political extremism. Boelter's method was as chilling as his intent. He meticulously planned every detail, ensuring that his approach would be both convincing and terrifying. The calculated nature of his actions revealed a mindset on deception and violence, with no regard for the lives he would shatter. Disguised as a police officer, he used a fake vest, badge, and a modified SUV to gain his victims' trust. The uniform was nearly indistinguishable from the real thing, and the SUV, stripped of any markings, looked official enough to fool even the most cautious residents. This elaborate disguise allowed him to move through quiet neighborhoods undetected, blending in with the very people sworn to protect the community. At the Hortman home, Melissa and Mark opened their door to what they thought was law enforcement, only to be met with gunfire. The attack was sudden and brutal, leaving the family with no chance to react or defend themselves. The sense of safety that once came with answering the door to a police officer was shattered in an instant. Minutes later, Boelter used the same ruse at the Hoffman residence, leaving John and Yvette critically wounded. The pattern was clear. He targeted unsuspecting families, relying on their trust in authority to lower their guard. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but the damage had already been done, and the neighborhood was left in shock. The attacks were swift, coordinated, and left no time for defense. Each move was executed with chilling precision, as if Boelter had rehearsed every step. The victims were caught completely off guard, and the aftermath was a scene of chaos and confusion. The use of a police disguise has eroded public trust and heightened fear in the community. Neighbors now look at each other with suspicion, and the once peaceful streets are filled with anxiety. Community meetings are filled with worried residents, all searching for answers and reassurance that their families are safe. Residents are now urged to verify any officer's identity before opening their doors. Law enforcement has issued new guidelines, encouraging people to ask for identification and to call the station if they have any doubts. This new reality has changed the way people interact with those in uniform, adding a layer of caution that never existed before. The calculated cruelty of Boelter's methods has left a deep scar on Minnesota's sense of safety. Vigils and memorials have sprung up across the state, as communities come together to mourn the victims and support one another. The pain of these attacks lingers, a constant reminder of how quickly trust can be broken. Law enforcement is warning the public to remain vigilant. Officers are increasing patrols and working closely with neighborhood watch groups to restore a sense of security. The message is clear. Everyone must be cautious, and no one should take their safety for granted. The community's trust in basic institutions has been shaken to its core. As Minnesota struggles to heal, residents are left grappling with fear, uncertainty, and the challenge of rebuilding the trust that once held their neighborhoods together. Police arrived at the Hortman residence as the attack unfolded, exchanging gunfire with Boelter. Amid the chaos, Boelter escaped on foot, abandoning his vehicle and vanishing into the neighborhood. The response was immediate. Hundreds of officers, SWAT teams, helicopters, and K-9 units launched a massive search. A shelter-in-place order locked down Brooklynpark as the manhunt intensified. The FBI joined the search, offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to Boelter's arrest. The public has been enlisted as partners, urged to report any sightings. The community remains on edge, with armed officers patrolling the streets. The search for Boelter is now a race against time to prevent further violence. Boelter's abandoned vehicle revealed the depth of his violent intentions. Investigators found a manifesto and a hit list with nearly 70 names, including politicians and abortion providers. The discovery escalated the threat, prompting authorities to warn and protect everyone named. Flyers for anti-Trump protests were also found, hinting at a broader ideological motive. The evidence paints a portrait of a man driven by deep-seated anger and political grievances. The attacks were just the beginning of a much larger planned campaign. The case has become a national security concern, with the threat extending far beyond Minnesota. News of the attacks sent shockwaves through Minnesota. Vigils sprang up in Brooklynpark and Champlin as neighbors mourned the loss of friends and community leaders. Political leaders from both parties united in condemning the violence and expressing grief. President Trump pledged federal support, calling the attack intolerable. The bipartisan response underscored that this was an assault on democracy, not just individuals. The sense of safety has been shattered, replaced by fear and uncertainty. Community leaders urge unity and support, but anxiety remains high. Residents are left waiting for the manhunt to end and justice to begin. The attack has forced Minnesotans to confront a new, unsettling reality. The community's grief is matched only by its determination to heal. The government's response has been swift and coordinated at every level. Law enforcement mobilized immediately, securing neighborhoods and launching the manhunt. Governor Walz canceled political events statewide, prioritizing safety for officials on the hit list. The FBI's involvement brought national resources and a $50,000 reward for tips. Security has been increased for public officials, and protocols are under urgent review. The attack has forced a re-evaluation of how to protect democracy's frontline defenders. The goal is clear: prevent further tragedy and restore public trust. June 14, 2025, marked the end of a sense of safety in Minnesota. The attacks shattered the belief that political differences could be resolved peacefully. Elected officials now face a new reality: public service can make them targets. The manifesto and hit list reveal the dangers of unchecked political rage. Law enforcement urges vigilance, even in routine interactions with police. The community's sense of security has been replaced by vigilance and unease. The manhunt for Boelter is about more than justice. It's about restoring order. The scars from this attack will linger, forcing a reckoning with political culture. Minnesota's peace is gone, but the hope remains for a renewed commitment to civility and safety. The tragedy is a call to ensure such darkness never returns.